Nets, Bucks. Somehow Nets, Bucks went from an absolute bore fest to an actual series. I mean, the Bucks looked like they were dead on arrival. The Nets were looking like a juggernaut. And all of that was maybe, 5 minutes ago? Now, having said that, I am this close to saying the Nets are now in trouble. Not only are they in trouble, I think they're in serious trouble. I mean, do you remember last Monday? Only 1 week ago, the Milwaukee Bucks did look dead in the water. I mean, DEAD. Dead, dead, dead. They were down 2-0. And it wasn't just that they had lost the first 2 games. It's how they lost those first 2 games. They lost game 2 by 39. That was a game where they trailed by 49 at one point. The Nets had been up nearly a half 100 on them in a playoff game. So the Bucks, an alleged title contender, could not have looked any worse. I mean, let me repeat that. They were down 49 in a playoff game. How the hell does that even happen? How does that make any sense at all? Like, the math is all wrong. Then they go back home. They win what amounts to an unwatchable rock fight in Game 3. They don't care. They did what they had to do, but it was unwatchable. And then yesterday happened. A critical Game 4, and it was a lot. Yeah, I'm guessing that felt below average. I would say it looked like he put his foot on backwards, but it actually looked like his foot was ripped off altogether and then placed on the floor next to the rest of his leg. That bad. Like, it looked like a shoe had been thrown onto the floor. It didn't look like there was a foot in it or that foot was still attached to the leg. I mean, it was so gnarly that LeBron tweeted the praying hands emoji at Kyrie, followed by 4 exclamation points and an all-caps F-bomb. Like, and I get it, because that's about the only reaction you could have to something like that, an injury like that, at a time like that. Well, actually, I'm not right about that. I take that back, in fact. No, I take that back. There is one reaction you could have, and a reaction that's even worse, so much worse. And that reaction came compliments of Big Baby Davis, who posted, quote, "That's the same ankle Irving stomp on Lucky with," end quote. Baby. Dude, you shouldn't have. And when I say you shouldn't have, I'm asking, are you kidding me with that? You saw what happened to Kyrie. So your immediate reaction is to reach for your phone and thumb that out. Thumbed out some sort of karma blast on Kyrie because he stepped on the Celtics logo a few weeks back? Because that's pretty much what I think you did. And if, in fact, that is what you did, that is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And by the way, really, really low rent. Because it wasn't just about karma. Like, you were celebrating it. You were hyped that this dude got hurt. Like, hell yes, you know it. That's what happens when you mess with our mascot. Like a mascot that nobody even knew existed like 5 minutes ago. I mean, dude, do you even hear yourself? Because if you do, then you know how dumb that really sounds. You mess with our mascot, and then you mess with all of us. That's like really one of the more idiotic things I've heard in a while. And then you top that, right? Like, Kyrie stepping on the logo was one of the dumber things ever. But the way Big Baby and the other Celtics reacted was even dumber. And that's saying something. You know, follow this logic. Do you realize how childish you have to be to out-childish a grown-ass man and a future Hall of Famer stepping on a basketball logo like he's making some kind of enormous statement? Like, that was really dumb what Kyrie did, right? I get that. But once that was over, I thought that I would never have to talk about it ever again, except now apparently I do. In other words, you're not helping them, baby. You're hurting them, and you shouldn't be running with that bull crap on social media, man. So what am I so worked up about? Why do I care? The thing I care about is rooting for an injury is pretty much the worst thing you can do in sports. It's like a total violation of everything that everybody is supposed to stand for in sports. And every athlete knows this, right? Especially elite athletes. You know the physical risks that everybody takes when they step on the court or they step on the field. These guys know better than anybody what they signed up for. So you want to make sure that everybody comes out safely. You want your best to beat their best. And saying that an injury is karma for stepping on a part of the court is like the dumbest thing ever, especially coming from a former pro athlete. Like, you of all people should know. It's one thing if it comes from some anonymous egg on Twitter, but a former player should know better. You don't celebrate somebody's injury. You don't root for somebody to get hurt. And you don't say, I told you so after it happens. Especially if the I told you so is for somebody stepping on a part of a basketball court. But he wasn't done. He followed that up with this, quote, Lucky got his get back. Big Baby said that. Lucky got his get back. Lucky got his get back. The hell are you talking about now? The Celtics mascot would have a little something for anybody who dared disrespect him? Is that what you're saying? Like the mascot was going to get his. Like the mascot was going to get over on anybody else who disrespected him by wrecking them. That's what you're going with. Dude, it's Lucky, not Chucky. He's a mascot in a vest and a pipe, not a doll. Lucky is a made-up character. Lucky is a marketing gimmick. The dude on the Lucky Charms box is more real and way cooler than some doofus on a painted parquet floor. You don't have to protect the goof with the pipe, the vest, and the black hat. And if you Celtic fans are going to come in here and try and tell me I just don't get it, you're right. I don't get it. That's the whole point. Now, putting all of that aside for a minute, putting aside that terrible take for a minute, why don't we talk about the thing that really matters, the series itself. The series has completely changed, and it shows once again that when it goes, man, it goes fast, and it can all change in a split second. Playoff basketball is always hard. Winning is always hard, but this year it seems even tougher. An entire series changes based on how a guy lands on the floor or how the guy who shoots the ball lands on the ground. I mean, it's crazy, but it's real. And the Nets are in real trouble right now because if Kyrie is out and James Harden isn't right, suddenly that team becomes a lot more beatable. They looked unbeatable only a few days back. Yes, they still have KD, but that's a big one, not a big three. And I'm not going to say that they're about to turn into the Lakers without AD and LeBron, but when you build a team around three guys and two of them aren't there, you know that's a problem. And as great as Durant is, he's not going to put the rest of them on his back and beat Milwaukee by himself. And it's not just about Kyrie's injury. There's something else going on here. The Bucks have found something, and that something is none other than Anthony Leon Tucker, a.k.a. PJ Tucker, because he has been a force the last couple of games. And it is something to behold, right? Yeah, Durant did get 28, but he needed 25 shots to get 28. He was 9 of 25 from the field. He was 1 of 8 from deep. And Tucker was a big reason for that. So yesterday was a free reminder of why the Bucks brought in Tucker. Because as great a dude as he is, and as great a story as he has, he can still make your life absolutely miserable. He's in the misery business. He's paid to make dudes miserable. He's physical. He'll fight through screens. He'll crack you. He denies you the ball. He makes you fight for everything you get and earn every single inch. And we're talking about a guy giving up a half a foot to Durant. And it's an absolute defensive clinic. Man, there's so few guys in that league that can do that to that guy. He got in Kevin Durant's face in Game 3, and now officially he's in the Nets' heads after Game 4. Like Durant spent a huge chunk of Game 4 complaining to the refs about Tucker. Steve Nash even picked it up after the game. No, you didn't. You did not think that was borderline non-basketball. But let's be real. Steve Nash is smart as hell. I really doubt that he thinks that PJ Tucker was, quote, borderline non-basketball physical. I doubt that he thinks that it was borderline erotic or borderline non-physical basketball or physical non-basketball or borderline erotic. There's nothing borderline about it. He was doing his job. Nash, is doing his job too, working the refs, trying to get them on inside for game 5. And I get it, because Tucker took Durant out of his game yesterday, took the Nets out of their offense altogether. This guy's dragged the Bucks back into the series, and if Kyrie and Harden are out, he put the Bucks in the driver's seat. And that's definitely not something I would have said a week ago. As mentioned, like 5 minutes ago, the Bucks were dead on arrival, and now they're in the driver's seat. As far as Big Baby, yo, B, bitter much? You should change that handle to Big Bitter Davis. Then again, he is what he is. He's not turn the page, Davis. He's not move on, Davis. He's not focus on what you can control, Davis. This dude's too much, man. Too much. Now, what about Kyrie? That did not look good with him coming off the floor. But you cannot root for somebody else to get hurt, even if they did step on your recently painted mascot on a piece of parquet.